What's up YouTube? Welcome to another video, and today we're going to be doing a review on the CNC Rhein cartridges. And if you're new to this channel, I'm Brandon from Tattooing 101, and make sure you are liking and subscribing down below so you can keep up to date on all the new content we make each week. Awesome, so let's get into the cartridges. So what I ordered was 7 round liners, 14 round liners, and 11 round mags. So that way we know exactly how their small liners work, their thick liners work, and of course their mags. Right off the bat, looking at these boxes, they have really nice packaging with these. You could clearly see exactly what they are right on top of this box. The gauge of needle, everything, right on the back of the box. So some makers of cartridges don't put it on the box, they just put it on the actual cartridge, which makes it really confusing for health inspectors to come in because they want to make sure that the dates are good, everything like that, so they have to actually pull out and look at everyone individually. So I really like that they have it on the outside of the box. Okay, so let's get into the actual cartridges. I have my 7 out here, my 14, and my 11 curved mags. So right off the bat, just looking at the cartridges, I like that they're solidly constructed, so they're not in 2 pieces, so they can't just fly apart whenever you are tattooing. They have the expiration date clear on the back and proof that they have gone through a sterilization process, which is that little blue mark right there, which is awesome. The expiration date is 2026, so that means I have quite a long time to use these cartridges before they would actually go bad to where I'd have to throw them out. So that's awesome to see, so you could order these in bulk and not have to worry about running out, you know, before the expiration date comes to play. Alright, I'm going to get some gloves on so I can open up this cartridge. Right off the bat, you can see that they are all exactly the same. So this is the 7, this is a 14, they're exact same construction. The only difference is obviously the needles, and right here it says 7R, so they actually have printed on the bottom what they are, which is awesome because some needle sizes can be really close to the same, so it's really hard to kind of tell whenever you are tattooing. Now there's a couple things that I always look at before tattooing when it comes to working with new cartridges. There'll be, I want to make sure that the spring or the rubber band, or in this case they have a filament which stops backflow, so making sure that that isn't super tough. I don't want that to be, you know, really hard pressing on my machine because that's going to wear out my machine, right? So I always check that whenever I'm working with new cartridges, and also giving it, giving it quite a bit of pressure. I'm not going to use this one obviously, so I'm just trying to put it through a hand test before putting it in my machine so I don't have anything mess up my machine, because obviously I could buy another box of these for very cheap. If I mess up my machine with one, that's obviously going to be way more money than just buying a box of cartridges. So always check out new brands of cartridges before you are putting them in your machine, because you don't want this to be super thick to where it's really hard on your machine. So with these cartridges, I wanted to point out that they're going to run you about $20 per box, depending on the size of needles that you get, and liners or mags of course, and you're going to get 20 cartridges per box. So they run about $1 a piece, which is about half the price of the cartridges I normally buy. Some of my cartridges go to about $2.50 a piece, but obviously on these bigger tattoos, and if you're trying to grow your career, it is really important to make sure that you are buying quality products and not necessarily worrying about the price. Just use what works good for you. Now it's time to get into the actual tattooing. Alright, let's get into the review. So one thing I noticed, which is really cool, on the bottom of the cartridge, it actually shows what size they are. So this one's 7R, so that's a 7 round liner, and this one's 14 round, which is awesome. And the mags also have the number on there as well, which is super cool because when you're tattooing and you need to figure out which one's which, it's just printed on the bottom, which is super helpful. So we'll start out with the 14, go in here and see how it does. I'm just going to tattoo how I normally would with any other cartridge and see how it works out. Okay, so the 14 is working really good. I will say that for a 14, I would say it's really thin. I'm used to like 14s being super thick with the other brands that I buy, so that's one thing to keep in mind, is the needles are definitely closer together than what I would normally buy for getting thick lines, because this one runs really close to what my like 11 would run. in the other brands that I get. And the other brands are like Quadrin, T-Tech, Black Claw, all of those ones. Okay, so I had a little bit of the ink spitting out right there, and I know I don't have anything on my tube. My tube's not clogged up, so that might have been a cartridge thing right there. We'll keep out, you know, I checked everything, make sure everything was set up correctly, so that shouldn't be happening. So we'll see. Might just be an issue with how the ink flows in the cartridge. One thing to look out for. Yeah, so you can see that it's still spitting out, which could cause problems if you are just first starting out. It can be really hard to kind of follow the stencil if there's ink everywhere and then you go to wipe it away and it smears everywhere, which could be really annoying. Yeah, so I'm kind of curious to see if the other cartridges have this problem with ink spitting. I'm just checking it out real quick. Yeah, I don't see any issues to why it should be doing that. And I am, you know, before going into the tattoo, I am wiping it very quickly on the paper towel to kind of take some of that residual ink so it doesn't smear everywhere. So that is one thing I'm also doing, and it's still having this issue. Other than that, the 14 is very consistent going into the skin. You know, I'm not having an issue with it being hard to go in there or anything like that. It's working perfectly when it comes to like the actual needles. Awesome. So yeah, the liner is very consistent. Other than the ink splattering, you know, it works really, really well. Okay, there goes for the line work for the 14. And we'll put the 14 above right there and we'll clean it off real good. So with the 14 by itself, you know, it worked really good. I just really didn't like the ink splattering. I don't really like that at all. It could cause really bad problems when it comes to like trying to see what you're doing, and it just sprays everywhere and it's just really annoying. So that could have been an issue just with this one cartridge as well, not the whole pack. But that's one thing that you want to be mindful of if you were, you know, wanting to get into these. But anyway, let's check out the 7, see how that one does, if it's any better than the 14. Okay, we're gonna do some of the small lines in here. Yeah, so right off the bat, it's having the same issue with ink splattering, which makes me believe that it is probably something to do with the flow of the actual cartridge, causing it to flow too easily, and it's just spitting out the ink. I will say it's not spitting really bad. You know, like when your machine's spitting, if there's a problem with your machine or something like that, it just sprays everywhere. So it might be just a little issue, and it really doesn't affect my tattooing process at all. Just one thing to be mindful of, so you don't think that there's, you know, something wrong with your machine and trying to figure that out when it's actually just the cartridge. But it's lining really good, just like the 14. You know, I really like this cartridge a lot. It feels really good in the hand. You know, whenever you have your finger underneath that cartridge, it just slides in there really nicely. So if they could figure out this ink spitting issue, you know, this would be a quality cartridge that I would definitely use. There's the 7. Exactly the same issues with the 14. Like I said, if they could figure that out, I would have no problem using these all the time, really, because they lined really great. So that's just one thing that, you know, is on the negative side for them. Now we're going to check out the 11 curved mag, see what it could do. Let's get into the shading. Okay, so right off the back, I really like this cartridge a lot. It doesn't look so far like we're having any issues with spraying or anything like that, which is awesome. Probably because, you know, it has this open tip on the end. It's not cleared down right like that, so it's not kind of surrounded the whole way around. So yeah, which is awesome that it's not spitting everywhere. Okay, I spoke too soon. It is spraying ink, just like the other ones. Yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get another cartridge of one that I use all of the time and see if it's having the same issue with spitting. Okay, so no spitting. This is not one of their cartridges. This is a completely different brand.
yeah, I'm not having any issues at all with spitting. This is a curved mag. I believe this one's a 15, yeah, the 15. So it's a little bit bigger than the other one, but yeah, completely night and day difference when it comes to, you know, the ink going where I need it to without it just spraying ink everywhere and making a mess of things. So yeah, after this, we could definitely say that 100% that is something going on with their actual cartridges, you know, the way they make it. Maybe even that little backflow part of this cartridge, maybe that's the issue of causing it to spray everywhere. Whatever it is, there's something going on that, you know, if they fix that, this would be a great product. But, you know, I can't recommend this to people if it's just going to make a mess of their fake skins and make it harder for them to learn how to tattoo, and that's what we're all here for, right? We'll switch back to the actual cartridge for what we did with the review. So I'm back to this one that's spitting everywhere. I know I've asked this a few times, but I'd definitely like to hear your input on what I should try out next if it comes to, you know, cartridges, things like that. I have 3 different brands that I got off CNC. There's the police ones, these ones, and one more coming that I'm going to be doing reviews on, just because it's really easy to order from CNC. So, and they arrive fairly quickly, so that's another good thing as well. Yeah, when it comes to like the tattooing process, these are working great. You know, I'm not having any issues at all when it comes to the efficiency of how it's shading, things like that. I guess if you don't mind ink spraying everywhere, that this would be, you know, something for you to try out. But to be completely honest, that sounds terrible. Especially when you can find other cartridges that work just as good in the same price range that don't have this issue. So it's really a no-brainer just to go with something else. So there is my review for the Rhein cartridges. Would I recommend them? Probably not. Just because the issue with the ink spitting was really annoying the whole time. And you know, I tried another cartridge that didn't have that issue at all, so it's definitely something to do with their cartridges. So with that, you know, can you make a great tattoo with them? Absolutely. You have no issues when it comes to the actual tattooing process. If they could fix that one problem where it just spits the ink everywhere, and that's not on one cartridge, that's all 3, it was having this issue. So yeah, really annoying. Other than that, it can create a good tattoo. But I hope this was able to help you guys out, and just so you know, if you do want to order these, it's going to have issues. So as always, have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you on the next video.